So okay, I wanna say thanks for you guys for joining this, but so before we start, because I know we kind of in our emails talking about your, I guess your real jobs or your career jobs, but I do want to talk about the like the band a little bit because man, even like going off of what Andy just said, because it's such a trip. Like when we released the video, um, it was I knew I was like people's attention spans are so fucked up now, and like they're not gonna sit through that sort of like um ambience or repetition that happens before it like kicks in. And I remember like just saying like like on social media and stuff, like just wait till like I think it's like the 3 minute mark, like dude, it'll like the payoff is so sick, you know. And it's crazy because I think like a lot of that kind of stuff is missed in modern I don't want to say like modern art, because I think it's missed in I guess maybe due to social media or something, because you know, but in the past, like before, even before the internet, like you'd buy a record and you'd put it on and you were kind of you were like you were already like invested in it because you had spent the money, you know, like you were like I'm gonna listen to this thing even though I don't get it, or if it doesn't, like the payoff wasn't like right up front, you know. And so it's a trip because going back to like to when we were I was on tour with the Locust and Bastard Noise, and Nelson gave me the first album, and before, you know, before we released it. And I remember like putting that first track on, it's like 16 minutes or 18 minutes or something, and just thinking to myself like, this is the perfect music that I've always been waiting for. And but it's like I think like maybe I'm grateful that like my mind isn't like normal or wired like most people or something. But I remember just putting it on and like the sustaining of that first riff, I was just like, this is everything I want to hear, you know. Because maybe also too, coming from like the music I would play where it was very dense and very complicated as far as like the structure or timing, this was like the complete opposite. But at the same time, it also seemed like I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Orthrome OV. It's like a 45-minute song. It's like one insane thing, sort of like along the lines of like some of the Geronimo stuff. It's very challenging, you know, in a sense, to listen to it, but very rewarding. And they would do it live, and you know, I'd sit there and watch them on tour, like where's the change? Like how do they know when to change? You know, and there'd be you know, night after night I would study it, you know, and like there was so much more for me to get out of it, you know. But I remember like watching the audience with Orthodome just being like, fuck this, you know, and like getting super pissed, you know. But then like again too, like when we played the show together in December in Los Angeles, it was so rad to watch everybody and like to see like their like sort of like interest in their ability to I don't know, like to invest themselves in what was happening. Because it was like, you know, I mean, your guys' setup and your performance as artists is so insanely weird, and I mean that in the best way, you know, like it was very unique, and like, man, like, yeah, the way all of you guys play and perform says something. So like I would like to know where that comes from. And then also too, like I really want to, well, I don't want to like overshadow that, but I also want to know, why don't you ever print your lyrics with your records? Because I think that's also, you guys are so intellectually like on the level, and like obviously like socially and politically aware. I'm wondering like why that isn't like a thing for you guys. So there you go, like answer all that shit.
Mo, you want to go?
As far as the music goes, with Geronimo, you know, our influences, at least my influences, they're all over the place. But you know, I was a big fan of the Swans, early Swans, and early Melvins. You know, especially when Joe Preston was in the band. So when you know, when Sleeve Stack started, and then you know we ventured into Geronimo, me and Bill just wanted to do something that was sort of like you mentioned, JP. It was like machine-like. You know, like the drum of the earth, you know, and Father Sky and Mother Earth. So we wanted the pulse to always be there. And when Sal started jamming with us or playing along with us, he would tell me, "Well, show me that drum part." I said, "This is it. You do the foot pedal for 15 minutes, and then you kick in with the hi-hat and the snare." And he would just look at me and say, "Well, can I do something else on it?" I said, "No, you got to follow me." Yeah. So it really comes down to, and I credit Nelson too, because he had sort of more of the vision than I did. I think in a lot of ways, Sleeve Stack was more jammy in a way. You know, we were always kind of it was more of a jam kind of, well, let's see where it takes us. But with Geronimo, Bill wanted to build around repetition and machine-like industrial tones on tail sounds, that kind of thing. And so it evolved, and you know, our sound has evolved too. I think now with the last release, it was a little more what's the word? I think we actually wrote, quote unquote, more around like we try to write, you know, quote unquote, instead of just feeling a pulse of a song or a drum beat. But it sort of always starts with the drums, and Bill's always got some good ideas, great ideas, and then of course he implements the Trogotronic equipment with my bass drum and my hi-hat and my snare to create other sound elements. And you know, we toured as a duo with the band in Japan. What was that name of that band we toured with, Anthony? I forget their name. The female band.
Afri Rampo.
Yeah, Afri Rampo, and that was some good times. And they used to, after our set, they would just look at me and say, what was, you know, they didn't know what to say.
Yeah. That's the best thing. That's the best.
Yeah. But Afri Rampo, those were some good times in Japan with Afri Rampo, and from there, you know, then we decided to ask Anthony back because he had been finishing up his teaching in Santa Barbara, and so now we're here as a three-piece, and we look forward to releasing some more music. You know, we actually have a whole other release waiting in the vault, so I think it's just, you know, everything's on hold, as we know, and
sure.
But again, my influences are all over the place, from, you know, Sun Ra to Swans to Ravel, you know, Tones on Tail, Love and Rockets, Locust. I have to say the Locust is a big influence. Gabe's drumming was instrumental, even though I can't play like Gabe. I will never be able to play like Gabe.
Very few can play like Gabe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But I mean, I think that says something though too, like, you know, to be able to, it's like, what was that quote? Like, is it, maybe it's Charles Mingus or something, where he says it's like, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. You know, I mean, that's important shit that like a lot of people that I think want to play are, you know, like, I guess like complicated music want to play more notes, you know? I mean, I struggle with that with people that I play with as well. You know, like, hey, everyone's fucking soloing, you know, basically, like that's kind of crazy, you know, like let it shine. Because man, when I hear like a sick ass groove, it's a sick ass groove, you know, and it's not like it, you don't have to be like technically proficient, but you have to have soul. And I think that's like as much or more important than being technically, you know, able.
And the silence for us is, you know, speaks just as loud as the notes that we do play, right? When we're writing, we do a lot of subtracting. We'll come up with, Mo will have a drum beat, I'll have a bass line, Billy might have some kind of, you know, something going on in his head, and then as we're sitting there putting it all together, we'll be like, well, how about we take out that kick? No, take out that snare. No, take out those notes, Tony. Take out, like, you know, so it's a lot of kind of subtracting until we get to the kind of the bare minimal of what the sound can be, and then we take that kind of bare minimal sound and we just extenuate the hell out of it, right? Because I know I'm super into repetition, and I like things to be, you know, patterned in very specific ways. So when we put it together, we just structure it in kind of these more minimalistic ways, and then As we continue writing, then we might put a little extra drum beat here or a kick there or an extra note there, but we try to keep it to its bare minimal essence, and we definitely like the silence to speak as loud as the actual note.
But also too the like sort of timbre of, or the texture of every little sound, you know. I mean drums are awesome, but the bass tone, and then also all the stuff that Nelson does, obviously there's just the sort of like, I mean, it's hard to find like words to articulate, like, you know, the grit or the sizzle or whatever you want to put on it, you know. But like, there's things that happen that like go almost to like the world of like electronic music or EDM or something, you know, where where like you hear like these, again, like I think you guys brought it up, the like sort of machinery of it, you know. I mean, a lot of it reminds me of things like, what was that Bjork album, Dancer in the Dark, where it was like all created from sounds, like you know, in the environment, like those are, and made it musical. And I feel like you know, some of those jacked up trogotronic sounds are so weird and strange and foreign to this planet, but it has like melody and harmony and you know, I don't know, like they do have notes, you know, and it does carry something, says something, which is I think a really important thing that maybe a lot of like trained musicians or like scholastically trained musicians aren't willing to experiment with, you know. And I mean that shit's brilliant. I mean, I would like to talk about the politics of it too, because I mean the band is like profoundly very political, you know, and I wonder like if you guys feel that you might be missing an opportunity to sort of say something, again by the lyrics, but also maybe just like by making a statement. But then again, like sometimes like the hidden message is more effective, because the overtly political stuff doesn't always resonate. But can you guys speak to that? I don't know, and like what your guys' mindset was and the way you put that out, you know, put out the music into the world.
I think we live by like two mottos, right? One of them is KISS, and that basically stands for Keep It Simple Stupid, and the other one is less is more. So we're very, you know, with the lyrics and stuff, very kind of what's the word? Going after particular kind of ideologies and imageries, but using kind of with the kind of the music and breaking it down to its bare essential, and letting the kind of the bare essentials speak the volumes, instead of us basically saying like, you know, fuck capitalism. We're gonna let kind of this imagery or this lyric or this note kind of represent that from its kind of essence, right? So yeah, I mean, we definitely try to have the imagery and the politics, because it's ingrained into everything that we all do. But with this, we're letting it kind of the nuance speak for itself, I guess. So yeah, it's important that, you know, we're doing this type of work sonically, because like you mentioned, right? I mean, we try to let the sounds, the tones, the resonance, the silence, kind of all just speak for itself, right? I mean, we're definitely not making typically beautiful music, but we're making music that is kind of resembling of our life histories, our ancestors' histories, right, this whole like what oppressive capitalism has meant for the last 7 generations of Native and Indigenous peoples, right? So we're trying to it's a lot, but we're just trying to kind of encapsulate a little bit of that into what we do with the sound, I guess.